Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to End Times Talk. I am Josh. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to just bring up the first article here and just get started. Trump asked Muslim leaders to join Abraham Accords after Iran war ends. Now, I want to bring something up here real quick because I think it's important. So give me a moment here. I'm trying to find it here. There it is. So this right here, and we've talked about this many times, but I wanna talk about it because there's progress being made forward and we can gleam into this window a little bit more. The reason I bring this specific map up is because this is the post New World War map. All right. Post war New World map. So they're going to divide the nations after a war. Well, they didn't really do that, what this map entails after World War II. So we know that this is a war that's coming. All right. And give me a moment here. I'm going to try to find the next one here. So that way people follow along. Give me a second here. Trying to grab this picture real quick. I should have had it before. Should have had it before I went live, but whatever. Now, give me a second here. Now, coming back to you here. So, this is the second version of the map that came out from the Club of Rome. All right. And the first one, there's like, I'm overestimating probably, but like 20 different kingdoms here. There was not 10 kingdoms here. The Bible says very clearly and plainly that there are 10 kings, 10 kingdoms that the world is divided into in the end times. Now, this is obviously after a major war, because this first one that came out, this one came out a long time ago, well before this one. And this one says post-war, and it's the New World, so it's New World Order, New World Map. All right. And then that same idea, reimagined, came into the Club of Rome. All right. And you have something very similar here. Notice the one major difference besides 10 kingdoms. I want to say this very clearly here is, and because I'm about to show you a third map, notice Mexico in this map. Originally, the idea for Mexico to be part of Kingdom 1. See here, it's Kingdom 1. And this one, Mexico is part of Kingdom 6. The original idea was to have Mexico a part of Kingdom 1. And I'll show you in a little bit how they changed it again. But they've honed in on this 10 kingdoms. All right. And it stays true to its accuracy with this map right here. I think they went back to the original idea of Mexico being a part of Kingdom 1. And my brother Doc Marquis, who was ex-Illuminati, said that this was this right here. And I've seen altered versions of it where Mexico isn't green. I've been trying to put this around online a little bit more because I notice the one that they do share that looks like this, like if you were to go to Google and you type in 10 kingdom, map, eventually you'll run across this image, but you'll notice that Kingdom 6 has absorbed Mexico in their map. This is the map Doc Marquis gave me, and he told me, and I quote, that this was the Illuminati map that he was shown when he was growing up in a Illuminati bloodline family, the Marquis, and that this was the specific map that, that he remembered seeing. So I go by this map because of what Doc taught me. I knew him for over a 10-year period, and he's been dead since 2017. And even almost 10 years after his death. And I'm not talking about, the Bible, yes, because he's very knowledgeable about the Bible. But when it comes to the Illuminati plan and what he said that they were going to do, what he taught me they were going to do, he's never been wrong. Never been wrong. Me and him disagreed in a area of theology that's very small, very minute, and it's not a big deal. It's not a salvation issue. That's the only disagreements that we've ever had. All right. And other than that, the dude is one of the most spot on people, I believe, on the face of the planet. It had it together because he saw it from the true underbelly, the true overlords that work behind the scenes to control this planet. And he was a part of that at one point, and he admitted his role in that and asked, for forgiveness, and made his robe white in the blood of the Lamb by accepting Jesus. And so I know that Doc is in heaven to this day. But, for those of you that have actually gone and watched any of his material, which is quite extensive, it is like going to college. Okay. We'll just say if there was a Illuminati New World Order conspiracy Christian college that just exposes it all, his DVD series is extremely extensive. And he's got most of the sets are like 2 DVDs, and he's got 15 sets. That's just for one series, and he was working on a second series. So anyways, there's a whole bunch of information that he put out there. Never been wrong. I have not seen anything he said. And I'm not saying he's a prophet, because he wasn't. He just knew the Illuminati plan. The Illuminati plan, and I'm telling you, whether you want to believe me or not, and the Bible confirms it, is a 10 kingdom order that is coming to this planet. All right, a 10 kingdom order. And Trump, I do not believe he is the Antichrist. I don't care if he was or if he wasn't. I really don't. It does not affect me, okay? Because I won't be here when the Antichrist takes power. But there will be people who will be here when that time comes for the apostate world teacher, the counterfeit Christ. He will come and he will emerge, but it won't be until after the 10 kingdoms are created, because the 10 kings give their power over to the beast and rule with him. That means that their power was already present on the planet. And then the book of Daniel talks about there being 10 horns that represent 10 kings, and then a little horn, an 11th horn, come up out of the midst of them, speaking great and blasphemous things. And that little horn, that number 11, all right, everybody's all 11, 11. But 11 is the number for the Antichrist, because he is the 11th horn. So the 10 kings will be in place, and out of those 10 kings, out of one of those 10 kingdoms, the Antichrist will arise. The Bible's clear as day. You can't argue with that unless you want to twist the scriptures. All right. So, but I don't believe Trump's the Antichrist, but I believe that he's either knowingly or unknowingly working for him and doing what needs to get done in order for this 10 kingdom order to be put into place. All right. Now, Trump has asked Muslim leaders to join the Abraham Accords after the Iran war. But if you look at this map, Kingdom 7 would be exactly what Trump is trying to work towards. All right. Now, I do believe that if time is super duper short, Trump could be one of the 10 kings. I do believe that. I do believe Trump could be one of the 10 kings in the book of Daniel, and that's also spoken about, obviously, in the book of Revelation. All right, that's my opinion. I don't care what everybody else believes. I'm just telling you where I'm coming from, and it's okay to have differing opinions. But I believe he definitely could be one of 10 kings, if not his successor, whoever is president after Donald Trump. I don't know who, but I can tell you this, more than likely, the next president of the United States will be America's first dictator, if it's not already Donald Trump. Okay? I don't know if Trump's going to run for a third term. It can be done, but it is highly frowned upon. There could be a race. What if it was Obama and Trump? What if that's what, the Illuminati had planned? The next race would be, you know what I'm saying? So remember the movie Civil War. It's all about a man in office that doesn't, and I'm sorry for spoiler alerts here if you haven't seen the movie Civil War, but the whole Civil War is all about this president that won't leave office. Now we know that they propagandize that, and whatnot, and it kind of come from the idea that they said that about Trump the first time, that, oh, he don't plan to leave the White House and blah, blah, blah. He did just fine, whatever. But things seem to be different this time. All right. And I do know that Trump's rhetoric that he's been putting out there is we need to absorb Greenland, and then Canada is going to be the 52nd state or whatever, that's going to be, the next state of the United States of America. And there's a whole entire section, and I believe it's the most wealthy section of Canada, and I forget what it's called. Someone will give me the information that's from Canada here and put it in the comment section, hopefully. But there's a whole because I forgot, a whole section of Canada is getting ready to, sign this agreement because they don't want to be a part of Canada anymore, and they would rather join the United States. There's an overwhelming majority of people that would rather join the United States. And so Trump's saying we gotta purchase Greenland, all right? And don't think that's off the table. It's just not what they need, what needs to be talked about right now. But then he's talking about absorbing Canada, and then he tells Mexico they need to get their shit together, otherwise he's going to get their stuff together for them. Excuse my language, I'm sorry. All right. And he's telling Mexico that, that they can use the US military to fight the cartels, but the president in Mexico is a cartel president. All right. She is absolutely paid for by the cartel, for sure. All right. But the upheaval that we just saw with the cartels in Mexico is an obvious, it's an obvious, hold on one second. Miss Mercy Morgan's asking for prayers for Chris. He's got a bad ulcer. Pray for him. Dear Jesus, Heavenly Father, we just ask you to be with Chris, Lord, and watch over him, protect him, and keep him safe. And we just pray for victory in his situation, Lord, and that this ulcer will be healed, Lord. I pray that everything will come back into alignment, Lord. Jesus, we just rebuke the attack of the enemy on his life. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so the SFWJ, thank you so much. It's the province of Alberta that wants to secede from Canada and join the United States. So thank you for putting that in there. I appreciate it very, very much. All right, so with that being said, obviously you can see Trump is all about Kingdom 1 forming. It does not take a rocket scientist or even a monkey astronaut to figure out that Trump is moving America towards the first kingdom and the North American Union that's coming. All right. Now, so if you look at Kingdom 6, Venezuela is a part of Kingdom 6. Hold on, let me get a drink here. Venezuela is part of Kingdom 6. And what else is Trump talked about? He's talked about Colombia. He's talked about all these different other countries that he wants to, quote unquote, fix or whatever. You have to understand America's destiny. Destiny is a word that is not in the Bible. It does not exist in the Bible. It's. I don't care. Go look up the KJV. Yeah. No, I am not. See, people read into this stuff. This person's saying, are you saying that the rapture has to wait until the 10 kingdoms are formed? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. You're putting words in my mouth when you say that, because and what I'm saying is for the Antichrist to arise. I was very clear. For the Antichrist to arise, all right, these 10 kingdoms have to be fully formed between the pre-tribulation rapture and the establishment of the Antichrist, um, you know, authority that will come, and an agreement will be signed with many, not just a few. Very clearly, many. The covenant will be signed with many, and that will kick off a 7-year great tribulation of God's wrath being poured out on the earth. All right, now there's nothing to say between, and I'm tired of everybody always putting the rapture at the forefront. Put Jesus at the forefront, please, would you? All right, please. All right, Jesus is the forefront. Quit worrying so much about the rapture. It'll happen when it's supposed to happen. All right, but not until it's supposed to happen. All right, and so there's nothing that we can do to change that. God has a clock and he's going by it as his timing. It's not our timing. I trust it. But what I'm saying is that the Antichrist cannot arise until the 10 kingdoms are formed. Now, back to what I'm saying, all right, is that Kingdom 6, obviously, because people panic, that people want to get out of here. I understand. All right. People want to get out of here. I understand. I do. But I'm looking at things not just from a pre-tribulation rapture perspective. I also want to be here for those that are going to be left behind and that are going to go through the great tribulation. I would rather give them information that will help them later on make crucial, possibly life-saving decisions for them and their family, because Jesus loves them too. All right. So regardless, we're not going to think from a mindset that is just, I'm a bride of Christ and I'm going in the rapture. Other channels may do that, but we are talking to everybody here. Okay. So you have to understand that when you come to this channel, yes, we're a Christian channel. We believe in the KJV Bible alone. And then I believe in the only, you can be saved by grace. That's it. It's just grace. Nothing you can do to earn your salvation, but the evangelism and spreading the gospel and all that stuff comes after your salvation. You know what I mean? And what God's done for you. He calls us to do those things. I don't believe in lazy Christianity or anything like that. All right. So I just want to be very clear as to what I believe here, but I believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. There are people that are not Christians, okay, that think when they hear stuff about a pre-tribulation rapture, they think that's kind of crazy. The governments are preparing for it. Every religion on the face of the planet knows that this event is coming. When you really dig in, all right, there is plenty of information, insider information at the higher echelons of all world religions, like even Buddhism, the New Age, Islam, even Wicca, all of it are being told, like, there are people feeding them information at the top. A lot of their authors and things like that are saying that, the higher ups are saying that there has to be a mass disappearance of Christians. Okay. These are the facts. The world is preparing for it. The governments know it's coming. The alien agenda is real but demonic. All right, and there is a plan to get the Christians out of here. That's what they want. They cannot have their new world order while Christians are still here. But people, after the Christians get taken off the planet during God's wrath, there will be many who will come to know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior during the Great Tribulation. So let me be very clear on all of that. All right. But I do get rather worn out and worn down with people panicking and kind of like a rat on a sinking ship. They're going to claw their way and climb on anybody and press them down to make sure that they're getting another breath of air. And there's so many people that are more worried to get out than to get out of here, rather than going and witnessing and winning souls that are lost, that are dying, that are going to hell. All right. And so I got a real problem with people putting rapture first. Rapture is, a side dressing on the salad. The rapture is a cherry on top of the sundae. It's, in addition to our faith and our everlasting life because of what Christ did, our place in heaven, the seat that has a name on it with your name on it. Your place, your seat in heaven that is already there because you already chose Jesus Christ. You are written in the book of life. All right. That, I think the rapture comes after that. I think the rapture comes after worshiping Jesus. I think that people will replace worship to God, to Jesus, to Holy Spirit, and replace it with like rapture teachings, because that feeds them. That feeds that flesh. That flesh don't want to die. That flesh don't want to get crucified. That flesh don't want to get persecuted. All right. So I don't want to go on too long on this, because I'm talking to everybody here, not even just Christians. But I want to let Christians know y'all need to have your priorities in line. Let me tell you that. All right. So what I'm saying is that Trump is talking about this Kingdom 7 when he talks about the Abraham Accords. Everybody acts like the Abraham Accords is the peace deal, that the Antichrist is rising. That's not what it is. You clearly see the Illuminati's plan is Kingdom number 7. Those are the Abraham Accords right there. And then you have another one that's beginning to form because of the rhetoric being spewed in America with Kingdom 1. And then you even have America's hand in Kingdom 6. When you go back to like older occult writers and people that are high up Satanists and Luciferians, like people like Sir Francis Bacon and Manly P. Hall and all that stuff, they always talked about America's destiny. Destiny is not a word in the Bible. All right, it does not exist. You can go look it up. Go get your Greek and Hebrew concordance. Destiny does not exist. Destiny is a word that comes out of the occult, and it is for the occult. Anybody talking about your destiny, you are already having witchcraft spoken over you. All right, the Antichrist in the occult, his name is Destiny. True story. True story. But the occultists, when they write and they talk about America's destiny, they believe that America is going, in their purpose, from the foundations of America, from the very beginning of the conception of the, it's very occultic, but it is for them to form, whether through peace treaty or war, a new world order. And if you look all throughout time that America has been around, okay, we have had our hand in every damn nation on the planet, manipulating, conniving, funding, getting our hands dirty, getting our hands bloody, kidnapping children, all this horrible evil America is mainly responsible for. And I'm telling you, the chickens are coming home to roost. And what Trump is doing, and he could have people that are whispering his ear telling him to do these things. I don't know. I'm not God. I can't see in the White House, and neither can you. God is Trump's judge. I don't know if I'm for him or if I'm against him. I don't trust any politician. Now I'll tell you this. All right. Trump in his rhetoric is talking about now he wants to go into Cuba and liberate Cuba. He's liberating the whole world. He liberated Venezuela, and then he's liberating Iran, supposedly. But you have to admit, everything that Trump has been doing has been moving us towards a new world order. And I could play the J.D. Vance clip from the Megyn Kelly show where he's like, we're talking about a new world order in globalization, a new world order in trade. And he says the word New World Order multiple times because they want you to hear out of his mouth a new world order. Hold on one second. And so their plan is to cause enough chaos to bring us to a point of Agenda 2030 that I believe closely aligns with these 10 kingdoms. I believe by the year 2030, we will have these 10 kingdoms. I think in the next couple of years, things are going to get so nuts that they eventually will be able to form this after what's coming next. I believe it's going to be a short, brief war. I think it's going to be really heavy duty, though, because the Antichrist will intercept it and proclaim that, and try to establish peace and solve the problems. And then the world will fall hook, line, and sinker for this counterfeit Christ, this world ruler, this world teacher, the king of despotism, the king of despots, or destiny as they call him. Or, in some circles, they call him Bob. In some circles, they call the Antichrist Bob. Oh, man, just wait. I got a documentary coming out in the future that's going to explain all that in depth. But my point is that they are working speedily towards this happening. And when you see Cuba get invaded or whatever happens with Cuba, and you see that takes place, that is them taking another step towards another one of these super kingdoms arising. So Venezuela, Cuba, two communist states that were really dug in. They really have their heels dug in. They were really in the trenches, and Venezuela got overthrown. Simple as going in there and just picking the dude up and like, you're out of here, mister. And Brazil's calling for change. I got a friend in Brazil. Brazil's calling for change. All right. And I kid you not, Kingdom 1, Kingdom 6, Kingdom 7. Trump is working on these. He's also got his hand in Kingdom 5, with Ukraine and Russia. And so they are fastly moving us towards this new world order that is an old concept that goes all the way back to the Club of Rome, which was the foundation of the United Nations. So in a nutshell, it's not just an Illuminati map. It's a United Nations map, a post-war new world order map that they have been developing for years. They couldn't get it right, and then they honed in on this. And William Cooper, in his book Behold a Pale Horse, had released this image. He was able to obtain this document, and he was naval intelligence. I'll be honest with you, Kazia. I don't know if I agree with you. When it comes to, I don't trust Trump. I don't trust any politician. Trump would have to get up on a platform with the megaphone and shout Jesus from the rooftops for me to trust him. I'll put it that way. All right. So I don't follow that Great Awakening stuff. I don't follow MAGA. I don't follow the Democrats. I don't follow liberalism. I don't follow any of it. I want to follow Jesus. I want to follow the Bible. I don't care about politics. I did the best that I could when I voted. I was hoping for a better outcome, but it sure hasn't worked out like I thought it would. All right, and I'll say that publicly. But so Trump is trying to convince and the main part of what I'm trying to say, and I wanted to remind people of this, but Trump is trying to convince people that after the Iran war, okay, here's post-war, and remember, we've talked about on this channel about how there is the Albert Pike Third World War that talks about the Muslim nations and Jews at war with each other, and that the Illuminati, being an outside force outside of Israel, outside of the Muslims, would infiltrate using their agents to stir about this chaos. And after the war, here you go, after the war, post-war, the New World Order will be formed into this. You see? So Trump is saying, after the Iran war ends, Trump is asking Muslim leaders to join the Abraham Accords. That is Kingdom 7. And he's saying after the war. So this lets you know that what we're in right now is World War III. It's definitely World War III. It's a slow burn leading up to probably this climax that's going to happen, this heavy-duty chaos that the Antichrist will intercept. And before that will be gone, but I believe we're already in World War III, but they never call it World War until afterwards. So, but I believe that after the World War, they're going to form these kingdoms, and it's going to happen quick. It's going to happen fast because of all the chaos that's coming. It's going to happen fast, and they're going to agree to it real quick because the Antichrist is going to have that sway. And I believe it's going to be a real short time from the formation of the 10 kingdoms up until the Antichrist takes power. It could even be days. So people think that this is some long haul, long shot, there's a long way to go type of stuff, and it's not. I could sit here and go through this like I have before. I have thoroughly gone over this map. But it is actually speeding like a bullet train with no brakes. I mean, this thing is moving fast towards its completion. I would say it's over halfway complete. Most definitely over halfway complete. It's just going to take the right crisis, man. Just the right crisis. Could be a pandemic. It could be World War. I believe it's World War. The reason being is because of this. Because they've been saying it's after a war that they're going to reorganize the nations into these 10 kingdoms. So, with that being said, Iran, and I'm kind of talking along Third World War here stuff. Iran directly has rejected Trump's claim that the Hormuz Strait will be opened as part of a largely negotiated agreement. He just posted on Truth Social, and they're saying that Trump's claim is far from the truth, is what Iran is saying. And that the Hormuz will remain under Iranian management, with Iran retaining exclusive permanent authority over routes. See, I told you they have no plans to relinquish this. This isn't stopping. We're 3 months for sure into this thing now, and the damage has been done. Oh, let me tell you, the damage has been done, but damage is continuing to be done, and it hasn't let up from happening. People just are forgetting that the damage is being done because they're being distracted by stupid stuff all over the place. Now, here's what's funny. Iran also confirms the nuclear file has not been discussed, and that American officials, listen to this, American officials themselves have told Iran in multiple messages, all right, that Trump's tweets are primarily, listen to this, that Trump's tweets are primarily for domestic American propaganda and media consumption and should be disregarded by Iran. So Iran should never take what Trump's tweeting as serious. That American officials themselves are telling Iran that Trump's tweets that he puts out is American propaganda, for the masses, for the followers and all that stuff. And they're saying the largely negotiated deal claim, therefore, has no basis. So what they're saying is that they're not on board with anything. They're not on board with anything that Trump is actually saying. So nothing is changing. The damage that's being done is at this point, I believe, irreversible. I told you, oil isn't coming back. Jesus is. They are going to transfer you to an electrical grid system. That's what it's going to be. That's what the agenda is. They want to get rid of the combustible engine. ICE for EVs is kind of what it is. The combustible engine for electric vehicles. They have this whole switchover, and they want to have it before 2030. They want to have it before 2030. And with that being said, because of the shortage of oil, Congress, and this is what Bethany O'Leary is saying, Congress just screwed your gas tank again. They just approved 15% ethanol, E15, in gasoline year-round. Listen to what this does to your car. That's why your car is getting terrible mileage, idling like, SHIT, and running sluggish. Ethanol is weak fuel. You're literally paying more to go less far while your engine suffers. This sort of stuff and these little additives and the way that they're changing things, it's not good for your engine, and it is going to destroy your engine over time. We talked about the AutoZone, letter the other day where they said there's massive shortages coming. And then we talked about Toyota telling their high up people, all their managers, that shortages are coming, oil shortages, motor oil, all this stuff is coming. And that the whole agenda now is what can we find that can be a substitute for this? All right. And all of this crap they're going to suggest is going to ruin your combustible engine. So that way you have to upgrade to an EV. Do you see the game that they're playing? It is so sick. They have everything figured out. All right. They're going to stop producing oil. And as it starts to, fall apart, then they're going to say, well, because you don't have any oil, use this. And then it destroys your engine over time, does the damage. So that way, we stopped making, they're obsolete. The combustible engine, it's obsolete now. It's obsolete at best. So now you have to upgrade to an electrical vehicle system. Well, you know what? The government will even give you an EV more than likely. Doesn't that sound cute? Oil isn't coming back, and I don't know when people are going to realize this. This is a shitstorm that is brewing so badly. I mean, it is rumbling, it is thundering, it is lightning, and it is just getting ready to come out of the gates. There was some Twitter out there or on X, and some guy posted, "Are we in the Great Tribulation yet?" I said, "Hell no, we ain't in yet." And just some of the stuff that I've explained to you today is more reason why we're not in the Great Tribulation yet. All right, but they would love for that to be the case, because then there's no rapture. They take your hope away from you. They take any hope of that Jesus is going to rescue you from this, out. They want that out of the equation. They want you to feel hopeless. All right. The rapture shouldn't be the focus, but it's also a comfort, a blessed assurance. Like, hey, Jesus said he's coming to get us. Jesus was very clear in the scriptures. But so anyways, they want to make it to where they rob you of your joy and all this stuff. They want you to think just everything's screwed. And, and I've played the video before, but I've shown you the video where, they don't allow people to mow their lawns anymore, and you can't use hot water anymore, and you can't use your air conditioner no more. And, all this different stuff that takes energy. Once they have you on an electrical grid system, they can control all of it. They can implement all of it. They don't want you to have wood stoves. They don't want you to have natural gas. They don't want you to have oil, because all of that stuff, in a nutshell, basically means that you have independence, that you have a form of freedom. All right. You can grab a gallon of gas, take that wherever you want with your moped, and drive wherever that will take you. You have independence. But with an electrical grid system, all right, those newer cars, they know where you're driving. It's all GPS. It's, they know where you're charging your car. You know what I mean? They know how much battery you have left. They can turn your car off by a switch. They can, if your pupils are dilated in any direction that they don't like, your car won't start. All right. And so a lot is leaning towards this dystopian future. And I mean, it's for real. Like, there is a dystopian future coming. And it is nothing anybody wants to experience. I'm telling you. But we're seeing the outer edges of this thing. And hold on, I got to get a drink. And it's like there's, again, so many things being thrown into the fire. And so I want to give another, and I'm not going to solely focus on this, but there's some important information we need to go over pertaining to the Ebola stuff happening right now, dude. It is spiraling out of control. Like, they are losing their grip on this thing like you would not believe. But they're saying now, and just from the last live, I mean, I didn't go live yesterday, but I went live, I believe, late Saturday night into the early morning, or was it Friday into Saturday? Yeah, it was like early Saturday morning. Early Saturday morning, I went live, and there was like 800 and something cases that were suspected. Now, and this is suspected and confirmed, 1,010 cases that are suspected, and then there's 106 of those that are confirmed. There was, last time I checked, and it was the higher end of the numbers. I always go with the higher end, what they're saying the highest rate is. The deaths are now at 231. Okay, 231 deaths in the DRC. Now check this out. Okay, I'm gonna try to find it here. Goodness, did I get rid of it? I don't think so. Oh, it's right here. All right, I'm gonna put this up here. Hold on. So this is from Uganda. All right, and there's information that come out just the other day where Uganda went from having 2 cases, 1 death. Now they have 5 confirmed cases and 1 death. And then now, in addition to that, there are 2 more cases that this letter right here, because this is today. There were 5 cases on the 23rd in Uganda. And again, remember, they keep talking about South Sudan. This is spreading. They know it's spreading. They just don't want the public to know. But now there's healthcare workers, 2 new cases of Ebola that are healthcare workers in Kampala, Uganda, that are sick with Ebola now. And so, not only that, but there are people that are fleeing the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, check this out. This is where it gets crazier, right? And I'll even show you the screen, the news thing here. So, and this is in addition. Remember the other day when I told you that a facility in Rwampa or whatever, Rawampana or Rawampara or whatever, I can't remember what it's called, in the DRC, there was a fire that happened because there were a family wanted the body, but then they were saying it was protesters. Some were saying it was protesters. You're welcome, Erica. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. there were protesters, one article was saying, and then the other article was saying that they're family members that wanted the body of this well-known, I guess, young adult that died, and people got upset and they like infiltrated the place and like burned stuff down at this Ebola camp. All right. And they took the body of this dude. All right. Besides that, listen, and this is how bad it's starting to get. And we're starting to see a picture of what's happening in the DRC, where things are beginning to fall apart. Okay. People are fleeing. They're attacking these hospitals. And for the second time, a second Ebola treatment center is set ablaze in eastern Congo right here with 18 suspected cases fleeing. They are saying that this area is a hotbed, and they're saying the 18 suspected cases have fled an Ebola treatment center that was attacked and set on fire, because there are people in the Congo that don't believe Ebola is real because of the propaganda that's being spewed at them in their area of the world. There are people that believe that it's not real. We just believe that you're killing our family. Give us our body. They're very hands-on in death. They believe in hand-washing the dead body. And this is exactly what you shouldn't do with someone who has had Ebola. All right. Hey, Darth Ego, it's good to see you. And our Global, good to see you. Bunch of people here today. Ben, and it's getting crazy, and Bob, and Laura, and Carol, and Carl. It's good to see y'all. Carl even said, I watched a video on the second burning building. Yeah, so like things are beginning to fall apart in the DRC. Again, people are fleeing, people are attacking. This is the second attack. Again, what they want to make it sound like, oh, it's just family members. I think they're protesters that are in upheaval against the medical tyranny that's happening there because of Ebola breaking out. All right. And they don't want the tyranny. You would not begin to believe what these people in these countries go through when Bill Gates, funds these operations to go in with vaccines, and then, these vaccines get administered in these countries, and then all of a sudden everybody starts falling ill, dying, all this stuff. You know what I mean? Of course, these people wouldn't trust the medical field. And when you got the United Nations and Red Cross and all these people coming in, and all of a sudden, trying to clamp down, the military running around, these people are doing exactly what America would have done if there was like another pandemic here, to be honest with you. I'm just being honest with you. I appreciate that, Ben Sherman. Thank you for the kind comment. And so, and so, the thing is that it's beginning to spiral out of control. There's a bunch of people that have Ebola confirmed cases that are running around. And this is from the Associated Press. This is a pretty accurate for the most part, except for when they don't spin it, but they get information and news pretty quick. But it just goes to show. And sorry about that. Whoops. I want to share this again. So things are spreading in Uganda. There's attacks that are happening in the DRC on Ebola treatment centers. There is footage out here that I'm about to show you. This is absolutely insane. I want you to see this here. Absolutely insane. So that way you understand how easily this is getting spread. Like, this is a problem here. Hold on, I got too many stuff here I got to take out of here. Hold on. All right, now, hold on, let's see here. All right, this is what I'm looking for here. All right, dude, watch the way that this is handled. All right, this is in the DRC. This person in this casket right here, okay, has Ebola. has died from Ebola, as an Ebola corpse, okay? And especially at the last 2 or 3 seconds of this video, I want you to pay attention what happens. But look at this. These people are beginning to get upset over how the body of the victim is being handled. Nobody here has any sort of face masks. There's kids over here, like teenage kids. There's a little boy right here, little tiny boy right here. All right, and here's this casket of this Ebola, and this is how people are acting over there right now. Watch. It's the reason they're acting this way is because they have strict beliefs that they have to hand wash the body. They want to hand wash the body. They're obsessive about it. This is, it probably has to deal with, they believe that if they don't wash the body, it's probably they're going to go to hell, or I don't know, something like that. But they take it very seriously, having the touchy-feely, hands-on death experience, I guess. All right. In the Bible, it actually says when you touch a dead body, you're unclean. Right? I don't really think it's like that anymore after Jesus died, like, dead bodies have to be handled, but like at the kosher standards, a dead body is considered unclean. So what I'm saying is that, the Bible looks at it a little differently, all right? But these people, they have different belief systems, all right? They're entitled to their beliefs, just like we're entitled to ours, but they believe that they want to have a very hands-on funeral experience. That's why they're doing this, just so you guys know. Now watch, they're pulling the casket back out of whatever it's going into. I don't know if it's a furnace or a vehicle. It looks like a vehicle. But watch what happens to the casket. Keep your eyes on the casket. Make sure you get a real quick look around. Look at all the people around, all around with no protective gear on, nothing. All right, now watch what happens next. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. They just opened that casket to a corpse that had died from Ebola. And look at all these people standing around right there. And they're going to take that body and do their funeral with it. And all those people that don't believe Ebola is real, that these people are just dying because of medical overreach. And hey, that could be the case. And this is just all a big lie. But it's never about what they're doing. It's about the end game of where they're going with it. And time is growing short for the New World Order. I'm telling you, it is. Whether you want to think so or not, it is. Time is growing very short for the New World Order. They have to get things in play before 2030. Before 2030. And so I don't know what's coming. I'm not saying it's going to be an Ebola pandemic, even though this thing's spreading like wildfire. All right. It's actually spreading at a faster rate than what I remember COVID's spreading. All right. Because COVID was really out of control before it ever became like public, information. But we're over 1,000 cases and over 250 deaths just in this area alone. It's spread to Uganda, and there are victims that have been people that have Ebola that have been taken to Germany, and now the Czech Republic. They have taken sick Ebola victims to the Czech Republic now. It's like, what are you doing? Spreading it all around, getting some in Europe, getting some in, Eastern Europe, and, sprinkle a little bit over here, sprinkle a little bit over there, because the healthcare workers that are working with these people are getting sick. I just showed you the letter that in Uganda that they put out, where they're literally telling you, it says right here, the 2 new confirmed cases are Ugandan healthcare workers working in a private health facility in Kampala. Both patients have been admitted to the designated treatment unit and are now receiving care, blah, 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 blah. But right now, what they're saying, and we can kind of denote this now that we have 1,000 cases and you have 250 deaths, this is about 25% lethal, this strain. So we can kind of denote that now, and at least we have that intel that we're not looking at like a 50% death rate, but we're looking at more of about a 25 to 30% kill rate with this strain of Ebola. So out of 10 people, 2.5 of them are going to die. So out of 20 people, 5 are going to die. All right, so that way people can understand the fractions here. 5 people dead out of 20 people is still a lot. And if you were to contract something and roll the dice, well, 25% chance you're about to die. I mean, how would that feel? That not too great, And so I'm not saying that this is real either. This could all be government concocted, old footage, manipulated, connived, all that stuff. We know that they have that capability. But what I am saying is that this is a situation that is fastly spiraling out of control. And that's all I'm trying to present here when it comes to that. And again, the virus, last time I checked, there's different provinces in the DRC, and they have these sectors called health zones, and that's the way they break it down. And they're saying that right now, as of right now, in 3 different provinces, there are 21 health zones in the DRC that are reporting confirmed and suspected Ebola Bundibugyo. So, and this is a sharp increase. I remember about 3 or 4 days ago, I said it was 11 health zones, and now it's 21. It's doubled. So it kind of gives you an idea of where we're at with this Ebola stuff, is what I'm trying to do. Hold on a second here. And again, these people, places are being attacked and they're fleeing these facilities, and the people are going into hiding. And then you have people that are living in the DRC that aren't, in a facility, that are fleeing the country. And some of those people might have just got done with the funeral, and they had, like, again, I showed you that thing where they were talking about that super spreader event, and it's these funerals that they keep having. And there's people that are saying that this has gone on for 2 months without being looked at or anything like that, like without any intervention whatsoever. It went unimpeded for 2 months and got spread around. And they've said it's spreading around. They just don't know how far yet. But we're getting to that point where we're reaching the incubation period time since this initial stuff, like about 20 to 21 days after this initial blow up, we're going to see, I think, a huge jump in numbers. And it's coming within the next few days. In the next, I don't know, we'll say less than 2 weeks, you're going to start to see, I believe, some really big Ebola numbers coming out. And even the ex-CDC director, Robert Redfield, said that that this is going to be something that goes on for months, is what he said. They're already talking about this is going to be the long haul. So, with that being said, I want you to see this video coming out of Canada. It's a really important video, I believe. This young man, all right, has been stopped by the police, okay? And I really want you to pay attention to this video. Turn your volume up so you can hear what the police officers are saying. Listen to me. I'm telling you, the New World Order is here, man. I'm trying to show you something here that shows how, especially in Canada, how they can do anything and just take away all your freedom. You don't even have to commit a crime anymore, and they can take away your freedom. All right. And I want to show you how they're doing it. All right. So here we go. I'm going to play this video for you, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards. Turn up your volume again right now so you can hear what the police are saying to this gentleman. Pay close attention to every word.
Yeah. Okay. And this is Dr. Emery. He's a resident psychiatrist, senior resident. He's on a rotation with the CAR 87. We're part of a program that includes Vancouver Coastal Health and the Vancouver Police. Okay? Mm-hmm. And what we do is we go to people when there's different reasons that come up. Every case is a little different, and we go to people to see them where they are. Especially if there's been issues with trying to find them and talk to them. So in your case, I think you were certified under the Mental Health Act just, I don't know how long ago, but like maybe 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. Were you aware of that? Dr. Taylor saw you in a cafe. She didn't certify you. I think you filmed part of it. And then she spoke with your family, got some more information, and you're gonna have to turn that off.
So just one sec. What the officer just told me is that you and I can set up a meeting and we can chat then. So why don't we do that? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not turning the camera off. I have a legal right to keep the camera on. If you don't want to make the appointment now, we can do it at another time. But that's what the officer just asked that we do. So why don't we do that?
So I'm going to certify you under the Mental Health Act. We're going to bring you to a hospital, do testing on you, and you're going to talk to a psychiatrist in a controlled environment because we don't believe that you're going to attend an appointment.
I won't attend. I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment.
So he's certified.
I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment. Okay. What is going on? I was never given a psych eval or nothing. He just looked at me and said, "You're certified."
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know why, but it's up to the doctor. So if you.
But no, he didn't even give me an eval. He just looked at me and said, "I'm certified, man."
I get that.
Please consider what you're doing, and please think about the fact that I'm more than happy to come in for an appointment. I'm happy to go through and do everything properly. Okay, I've been completely compliant with everything.
Yes, you've been really good with me, Nicholas, but listen, that's his call, and unfortunately we can't go back on that.
He hasn't talked to me.
Get checked out by a doctor.
You're interacting with me at a...
You hear that? I mean, sounds like the winds have changed to me, man. Sounds like the winds have changed. They're working on making it to where if you have any previous mental health issues, and they're the ones that deem whether you have mental health issues or not. And I don't understand why everybody's running around trying to find a diagnosis. All right. But they can actually take your past mental health and recommend something, and they can literally stop you in the road now and put basically, because they're getting ready to take him out of the vehicle. And they're taking him, probably going to tow his car. He's going to have to pay for all that too. And they're going to take him to a hospital where they're going to evaluate him and his mental health. And then more than likely they're going to relocate him. All right. And so this goes to show in Canada, the levels of tyranny. Like, I'll be honest with you, that MAID system where it's like they're suiciding, helping people commit suicide. Absolutely sick, man. Like they are just preying on people, trying to depopulate and get people to want to kill themselves. And this is happening in other countries as well. I mean, I think it's the Netherlands that also do the suicide program. And this is a scary thing when they start talking about mental health. There's a video that I have in my I have a really extensive database of, we'll just say conspiracy videos and just crazy stuff, right? And this guy, I have a video of him, and he's out of Texas, and you can tell he was he was incarcerated, and because he was incarcerated and because he had previously mental health issues, the doctors ordered him to get the COVID-19 jabby, and he didn't want it. And I mean, I have the video. I could play it for you, and it's sad to hear. It's actually sad to listen to it, because this man, you can tell he's, I'll be honest with you, seeing something like that come at me and knowing what it can do, you're fighting for your life. And then when they finally get him with it, and they'll get you with it, they get enough people surrounding you, and they corner you into a room. Once you're in a room and you're cornered, you're done for. They'll get you. They'll get you with it. Trust me. You never let them corner you. Never let them corner you. Always get outside that box, man. They're always going to try to box you in. Got to get outside the box. Don't let them box you in. Anyways, but this kind of stuff really upsets me, because what deems someone mentally unhealthy? What? And then you want to know what's funny? And then demonic possession ain't real in the medical field, right? So then they have to label that what? Right? Or demonic attacks, like depression and suicidal thoughts, because I believe suicide is a demonic entity, all right? And there's a lot of proof for that, actually. But they want to take that and turn it into a mental health issue when really it's a spiritual issue. And I've been around people that have this and have that. And, you can tell from person to person kind of spiritually what they're dealing with, And some people, they just don't let go of things. They don't know how to let go of things, or they don't truly want it inside. They don't truly believe that God can deliver them. And then they get, they struggle, it's sad, but there's a lot of spiritual problems out there that are being labeled mental health issues. But I'll be honest with you, even if this dude at one point didn't want to live anymore, we'll say, or if this dude at one point was depressed or manic depressive or bipolar, or, has mood swings or whatever, because of all the frequencies that are hitting us day in and day out. You know what I mean? What if this dude seemed pretty normal to me, and it don't matter his past, and it looks like he might be living out of his car or working out of his car or something like that, but he seems like he has it pretty together. He's got a nice shirt on. He's not raising his voice, even freaking out, and he's about to be pulled out of his car and arrested. It doesn't seem like he's out of control to me. And you got some doctors saying that he's a loony, and the cops can stop you and pull you out of your car and take you away without your say-so, nothing. It's already a dystopian future, especially with the implementations of AI technology and robotics. Absolute dystopian future, man. And in Canada's, man, they're at the forefront with a couple of other countries as well. And I'll tell you, it's just it's sad to see. It's sad to see. I grew up, in the 80s, and it was, if I would have known what the future actually held, I wouldn't have been looking to the future so much, and I would have been living more in the moment. And I think that that's something we all got to do, is we all got to start living a little bit more in the moment. Hold on, I'm going to play this next video here, and then I'm going to comment on it. I think that this is pretty important here, so listen up. And I'm not a big fan of Tucker Carlson. I don't hate him, but it's what his guest is saying that I want to talk about.
We are so close to the scariest, most dystopian system. This is what the drive to build all these thousands of data centers is about, to micromanage the world's population through the new financial world order. AI is really about that. We're heading towards digital control systems where we have no more control over our liquid assets. It will be programmable, permission-based, so only what the central planners allow you to use your money for, at what time and place and location will be permitted, And if you're in the wrong place, it's not going to work. And if you're buying the wrong book, it's not going to work. Your money won't work outside a certain zone, whether it's 15-minute prison zone or whatever it may be. It is the totalitarian dictator's dream come true.
It really is. It really is. One thing he said that I want to comment on specifically that stands out to me is about books. That eventually you won't even be able to buy a book that you want to buy. And that's why it's so important, and you can always shop secondhand books. And you can always shop secondhand books. And you can find some really good deals on eBay. eBay is much better for used books than Amazon. And I find $5 books on eBay all the time. When it comes to researching stuff and things like that, things can get a little more expensive because some people are very hard on their prices. But you can even talk the seller down. Like you can message them and be like, hey, would you take this for this instead? And most people are willing to work with you because they just want to get rid of the stock that they have that they're selling on eBay. So there's plenty of books out there, and I especially would get yourself a Bible. But you're going to have to get books now so you have them for when you need them, if the Lord tarries. To have a shelf, just one shelf, full of some really important books. Like if I was going to recommend a shelf full of books for you to read, to know about, I would definitely recommend the King James Version of the Bible, and specifically the 1611. And then also a just a regular, like, authorized King James Version. And then maybe for the kids, a new King James Version, or for new people coming on, that need something a little easier to read. Because you never know if you're going to have a home church. All right. You have to be ready to have home churches. Because what if we can't meet on the internet anymore and it's all controlled and censored? They're going to really clamp down next time, I'm telling you. So to have books to be able to do that are rather important. You got to be careful reading Bill Cooper or William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse, because at the time he was a little new age, and after he wrote that book, he later on kind of came out publicly and was like, yeah, I didn't, I shouldn't have wrote that way and whatnot. But there's a lot of good information about the New World Order and what their plans are in document form in William Cooper's Behold a Pale Horse. That is a really, really important book. And there is a book, and it is hard to find. It's by a guy named A. Bar Ruel, and it's called Memoirs Illustrating the History of Jacobinism. And it is a very thick, extensive work about the Illuminati and the Freemasons and how they operate in America. And it's a really, really important book, actually. There's a whole bunch of books out there that will give you a solid understanding about what's coming. I could probably in the comment section give a few more references, but it's important to have, I think, a shelf full of books, and spend $5 a book. Yeah. So like I'm big into books, and I have, I don't know, probably 200 or 300 books. I'm not going to lie. Like I have the library that I do because I want to continue learning, even if the internet is off, even if the power is out, no matter what. They can't delete a book. They can burn it, but they got to find it first. Right. But I think it's important to have resource materials that you can learn from, that you can trust, that outline this stuff, and it's something that you can go back to and continue to learn from. So anyways, when he said that, I was like, man, they're going to control even down to what you're going to be able to. I agree, Bob. Physical copies of books are becoming more valuable over time. They are too, especially the conspiracy ones, like what was it? Russ Disdar's Black Awakening. That's like over $1,000. Like it's an expensive book for a physical copy. It gets better to just print one and try to man, if anybody knows how to bind books, man, there's you could just print them and bind books that way. But it's so important to have information and not just have it from the internet. Any conspiracy theorist or Christian should have a arsenal of books in their home, wherever they go, because what if you need to teach a group of people about Christianity? What if you need to teach a group of people about what's coming? And I mean, we live on a teetering edge, because it's a system that it is at the push of a button, it can go dark. And any situation can arise and chaos can arise, and we never know where God's going to lead us next. We never know. There's so many people that have just been in a wildfire, and I kid you not, they're displaced. Think about having to leave your home, or otherwise face burning to death, burning alive. You know what I mean? And so you would have to leave. Well, if you got to leave and you're losing everything, well, at least you have your faith and you at least have your information. And if you got to live a poor life out somewhere else, you might as well do it in the name of the Lord. All right. And that's where I'd rather be at. Like I have an armful of books that if I was, uprooted from my home, I have an armful of books I would definitely take with me and would pile in my vehicle. It wouldn't be a ton. You got to kind of, minimize, as much as possible because of clothes and food and whatnot. But it's stuff I think about because in Agenda 2030, they say over 1 billion people are going to be displaced by climate change, and they say that there's going to be lots of wildfires and all this stuff. So we don't know what's going to happen where. We're in the middle of what's called irregular warfare. They are doing everything that they can to try to attack us. They're doing everything that they can to try to uproot us. They're trying to do everything that they can to make us more dependent on them and their beast system that they're forming right now. They got the data centers that they're putting all over the place. So they're talking about one that they're putting in Utah that's going to be twice as big as Manhattan, I think that they said. And they're going to build one in Utah that's twice the size of Manhattan. All right. And so these data centers are going up everywhere, and it's devastating when they come in. Even Erin Brockovich, and I don't know if many people know who she is, but she's a pretty famous like lawyer lady. I'm not 100% even sure who she is, but I know that she does work in fighting for crazy cases, and I guess she won a case, like a $333 million case against some big thing, where a bunch of people, their drinking water was messed up or something like that. I forget what it was. But sorry, I botched that really bad. I shouldn't have even brought it up. But she's actually got a website now where she's gathering intel on the AI data centers. And Trump is the one that has pushed this. He said in the beginning of his presidency, we have to be the leader because everybody thinks, well, if China's going to do it, I mean, we might as well be at the forefront. I mean, so America's moving faster than anybody else to get all this stuff built. And it's because they're getting ready to control America fast, quick, and in a hurry. That's what's going on. And again, these data AI centers or these AI data centers, they're just fusion centers. They are places where they are gathering intel on American citizens. What you click on, every link that you click is recorded. There is a data shadow of that. Everything is downloaded and put into a file. Every video you view, every time you click the thumb, every time you give something a like, every time you follow somebody, everything is monitored and your personality is ran through AI and a decision is made whether you're going to live or die. Guaranteed. It's already all decided. It's already, and they already know how people look with their face masks on or a mask on or a face covering to try to block their face, because they can see you on the Ring cameras leaving homes, and then they see you driving down the street on the camera. You know, they know what your license plate is on your car. Oh, this person has a face mask on. But over here, we see them, they didn't have. So now we know what they look like when they don't have a face mask on. And now we know what they look like when they do have a face mask on. So even if you try to cover your face and hide your identity, I think unless you have like one of them rubber masks that makes you look like somebody else, like some Mission Impossible tech, you know, it's going to be relatively hard to get around AI, because it analyzes your body movements, it analyzes everything that you do, and it's all part of your biometrics that system can measure, and it has all of this information already about you on file. And it can click through it at lightning speed when they have 7G or 8G now. And so, you know, it's complete tyranny what's coming, and I don't think the world is really ready for it. And I think it's gonna cause a lot of problems really quickly. I really do. So anyways, just on a side note, I want to cover a subject here. Hold on. So I'm going to play this video. And what's happening is these teenager, you know, takeovers, these teen takeovers is what they're calling them, where a bunch of teens just show up to an area. I don't know if they're coordinating online or whatever, but a bunch of teens show up to an area, and this one ended up in the military returning with gunfire, and this happened in the United States of America. And I'm going to play that for you real quick.
Wait, what? That was nah, hell no.
This was in Texas. They're saying in Killeen, Texas, at Belton Lake. All right, is where this happened at.
Oh, they finna shoot him. They shot him. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my motherfucking God.
I'm sorry about the language. Super sorry about the language. But here's the thing. This is what America is turning into now. All right. This is what America is turning into now. All right. And everything is beginning to fall apart. The morality, the sense of security that Americans have always felt being here, and it's all withering away. And I've never seen in my day, footage where the armies firing upon American citizens while they're in America with live rounds. Now I know there's like Ruby Ridge and all this different stuff, where the government shot people. Yeah, I get that. But I'm talking about something like this where you even just got a bunch of teens gathering, and I mean maybe someone had obviously had a weapon, you know what I mean, and it popped off. But it's just crazy that kids are so rebellious nowadays. Like when you think you haven't, when you think you've seen it all of a sudden something new pops up, and these kids, just the stuff they're doing is just nuts, man. And I don't know, but so it just makes me sad because I see my country falling apart. We're being invaded by people who that don't live here. They're anti-American. They're raping women. They're raping children. They're murdering children. They're they're murdering, our women. There's some women that are murdering men. That like Black Widow or whatever lady. I mean, she's, will meet a guy online, date him, and then take him off and kill him. So like it's just the violence is through the roof, and our enemies are all at our door. And the amount of people that came in under the Joe Biden administration, goodness gracious, it was absolutely insane. And a lot of those people, they're doing some really crazy stuff. And these one people down in Florida, in Palm Beach County and Fort Myers, a Cynthia Saucedo Torres and her family turned Fort Myers into a brothel empire, pimping out women and exploiting minors for profit. After getting caught, the ringleaders ditched their own children, ages 10, 12, and 17, for months and ran to Mexico. This is sick and disgusting and so evil. And I mean,
Torres is charged with human trafficking, deriving support from prostitution, money laundering, child neglect, and keeping a house of ill fame. PBSO says multiple brothels in Palm Beach County and one in Fort Myers were run by Torres and some of her family members. And PBSO says minors were being exploited in those brothels. Our sources say Cynthia was an underling of Brenda Brito, one of the most notorious leaders in this organization. PBSO says as investigators were closing in on Brenda Brito, Cynthia fled to Mexico, leaving 3 minor children, ages 10, 12, and 17, unattended for approximately 4 months. If you've seen the I-Team's coverage of the brothel next door, you know that CBS 12 News and Espanol anchor Carlos Maecha and I have been trying to shine a light on the dark world of sex for sale in migrant communities. Business cards that advertise food are code for prostitution.
So it's insane because, and I want people to see how prevalent prostitution and trafficking are in this world. I mean, it can be right on your street. I mean, think about how many houses is sex being sold in your town, village, city, whatever. I mean, it's very prevalent. It's everywhere. And as the economy falls apart, people resort to prostitution. That's exactly what stuff like OnlyFans is. It's people that feel that they have no worth anywhere else than to sell their bodies for money to perverts that are like these demons. Just that's literally like what I see when I think of people paying someone money to do really heartbreaking things to themselves. And this is a huge problem in America. And even just now, they have that hack that just happened on OnlyFans, and there's like over 300 million subscribers, accounts, information, phone numbers, addresses, all the stuff connected to all of it. The creators and those who pay for it, for these people to do these things to themselves, that just got released. So like it's a big thing. And a lot of it happened during the pandemic. People resorted to prostitution during the pandemic, and that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart that there's the women that thought that they had to do this to feed their families. And here's the thing, is that you have these people who are paid by the government to promote online prostitution, where you have these girls that are like, oh, I made $1 million in one day. I made $2.5 million the first day I joined. Like, and they're trying to sell it to girls like this is the way you take care of yourself. And women, you are worth so much more than that. There are men out there that they want to see a woman cover themselves and a woman respect themselves. And you have a man that God has made waiting for you that will respect you. Just be patient and wait for him. Nobody, not one person, should have to reveal themselves or take off their clothing for someone to love them. That is hollow and shallow and empty. And there's no love in it, just infatuation. America confuses infatuation with love. And love with infatuation. It's two separate things. Love is something you do. Love is an act. Infatuation is, oh, you look aesthetically pleasing to my eyes. That's infatuation. You are infatuated with the way someone looks. You are infatuated with the way someone acts. But when you love someone, you go out of your way to make life better for them. And that means respecting them. And if you don't respect someone, you can't love them. Like, I respect my wife. I give her a hard time. I give her shit. Absolutely. It's fun. It's a hobby. But I'll tell you know what I mean? But I'll tell you, I absolutely respect her. When my son comes around, he even raises his voice. I'm like, do not talk to your mother like that. Who do you think you are? Absolutely not. Not in my house. You know, so you know, men need to learn to start respecting women because that's what women want. Men is to be respected. They don't want to do that nasty stuff that's on that OnlyFans. They don't want to do that nasty stuff that's on that XXX tape. They don't want to do that. That's not who they are. They want to be loved. And if you love them enough, they'll be there for you the way you need them to be there for you. And show them and care, show them and be there for them. And they'll care and be there for you. It's a two-way street. I'm so sick of that mentality, especially with like Christians where like the man is more important than the woman. That's not the way God designed it. The woman was designed to be there for the man, so the man didn't have to be alone. And then men, you need to protect your wives and love them and be tender towards them. So I just wanted to kind of, you know, lay that down because I think people got it all wrong. I think people got it all wrong when it comes to life and what life is really about. And man, this Illuminati shit, man, they got things so corkscrewed out here. Dude, they got people believing that females want to be treated like that, like a piece of meat. And that, you know, they got, when it comes to the women, they got every man looking like a pervert. And not all men are perverts. I mean, there's a lot of them out there, yeah, but not all of them. And so, I mean, every female I've ever come into contact with, especially when it comes to, you know, this channel, will tell you that I've always been, you know, respectful and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Never been weird or awkward or never been a creep, you know? And I pride myself in that. I want to be respected. I don't want to be thought of as another one of those dudes. I mean, yeah, I think everybody struggles with lust to a certain extent, but control yourself. Would you? Control yourself. That's all it takes. A little bit of self-control. And you know, it strengthens you. It really does. Tell your flesh no. It's as easy as that. And then you save everybody a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, a lot of sorrow. And then you can literally, you know, wash your hands of it. And I mean, pray for the people that are still involved in it, but at least, you know, you're not partly responsible for the downfall of someone's life and those sort of images being permanently online. Because once you put those images online, they're there for forever. And yeah, you know what? I don't care if people get upset. I'm going to talk about this subject because it ain't talked about enough. You know, God created us in his image, and Satan has tried to twist that image And pornography has been a huge component of that. And it destroys families. It destroys the mind of man. It destroys households. It destroys children. It destroys women. It destroys marriages. So destructive. Except for an immediate satisfaction. What do you get from it? What does it do for you? An empty pocket? And a horrible feeling after you've done what you've done? There ain't no self-respect in it, man. It's sad. It's really sad, and it breaks my heart. Absolutely breaks my heart. So I wanted to put it out there, though, that, this stuff is on the street corner everywhere, man. And it's becoming more prevalent. And I think it's important. And there are classes that are free that you can take online where you can go and you can learn the signs of what to spot when this stuff happens. And then you can report it. And there's multiple avenues of reporting. Like I really like, when people would say, like, report to obviously the human trafficking hotline and get that ball rolling, but then double down and go report to organized safety, organizedsafety.org. That's my buddy and the people he's with run that. And I'm telling you, they have a huge database of people that have come forward with information, and they try to get packets together to present to, Washington, D.C., to be able to stand up for, the abused and those who have been victims of all of this horrible evil that's been going on for so long in our country. I actually, I had another documentary idea the other day, and I just kind of dabbled in it a little bit, and I started to look into it. And man, I just found out stuff that just blew my mind. It's like I'm learning something new every day. And I think it's important that as we're moving forward, we continue to learn, continue to grow, read your Bible, continue to research, continue to have your eye on the prize ahead, which is Jesus, but also, watching the times that we're in, staying close to Jesus, evangelizing and spreading the gospel, because the kingdom can't grow unless we do. And so it's important to lean into Jesus during this time, give him all the stresses, all the worries, and all the anxiety that you're dealing with about the times that we're in. I actually think that these are quite exciting times to be living in. I believe that the coming of Jesus Christ is imminent. I believe we're in the end of days. I believe chaos is right around the corner. And in fact, I believe we're already kind of in chaos. And I think that chaos is significant in the fact that as it's happening, we know that the rapture is going to happen, because we're going to be snatched out of harm's way. And we're definitely, it seems like, and not in the hands of Jesus per se individually, but as a whole, humanity is in harm's way. So with that being said, make your choice for Jesus this day, because there's a reason that all of society that's of the world, that's full-fledged, all about this stuff, all this evil, they hate Jesus. And it's just even more proof that Jesus is the real deal. And it says in the Bible that if you believe in Jesus, you will have everlasting life if you give your life to him. When you die, it's just a transition into the afterlife. It's not an end, and it's not a punishment. God has a place for you, and his son paid a dear, dear price for you. Jesus died for your sins. All of the things that you've done can be washed clean and washed away by the blood of the Lamb. The power of the blood of Jesus Christ is sufficient to forgive all sin except for blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. And that's like saying, like, the power of God is like demonic or something. That's like blasphemy like that. So it doesn't matter what you've done in this life. And I don't care the worst crime, worst evil that you can commit. Jesus will forgive you because he loves you. But it's time to stop the shenanigans if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. But because God don't play around. But God will save you from your sin. and we cannot nullify the blood of Christ. The blood of Christ is powerful, man. It's the most powerful thing in the universe. It really is. It's what's in the red pill. It's what wakes us up from the matrix, man. God's waking people up. He's in the business of exposing darkness and bringing people into the light, bringing people into the fold, getting them on the ark because time is short. And with that being said, may God bless you all and may he keep you in these last and final days. And don't forget to go out and witness in the name of Jesus Christ and change this world in which you live.